Thank you. It is such a pleasure to be here today. I usually speak as a professional, so this is my first time telling my story. And so I have a Kleenex just in case, because I've never done this publicly. So as you can see, I am a beautiful, red-haired, freckled, athletically built woman. I never thought of myself as beautiful until my mid-30s, and now in my late 40s, I can honestly say I am beautiful. I didn't grow up being told I was beautiful. Sometimes I was told I was cute, but for the most part I was teased because I had red hair, freckles, and I was stocky. I was often ignored for my looks, or even bullied in regards to my looks. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Oh, goodness.
Let me try to do it and you just like
okay.
look at me.
Okay, thank you. I think, yeah, okay. I was born in Brooklyn, New York to two very strong-willed Jewish parents. They were tough. Yep, that's Morton and Arlene Honig. My dad grew up in the Bronx, my mom grew up in Brooklyn, and when I tell you they're tough, they are tough. Our dinner table conversation wasn't, how was your day, sweetie? How are you feeling? Tell me about you. Our dinner conversation was, what did you accomplish today? How did you do on your test? How many hours did you practice? What did you achieve today? My parents meant well, but they wanted their children to succeed academically, athletically, socially, and professionally, and they really didn't have the tools they needed to raise me. I was and am very sensitive, dramatic, emotional. My parents used to call me Sarah Bernhardt. Oh, you're acting like Sarah Bernhardt. I never even knew who Sarah Bernhardt was. I just knew I was just like her. And in case you don't know, she was a dramatic French actress who led a very chaotic life, speckled with scandal. That was me. My parents couldn't give me what I needed. I needed unconditional love and support. Wasn't I cute? Oh God, look at that. I needed a lot of love and support. I needed encouragement. I needed praise. I needed lots of warmth and tenderness. My parents are just not the empathetic type. They're not warm. They're not cuddly. Their love was very conditional. Their love was based on achievement. I had to earn their love. Again, my parents meant well. I don't want to bash them, but there wasn't a book on how to raise Caryn Honig. My childhood was chaotic. My dad was a chemist for Shell Oil, and so we were transferred every few years. I think we moved 7 times by the time I was in high school. So far, in total, we moved 9 times. So that meant no long-lasting childhood friendships, nor did we have family close by. And I needed friends, I needed connections, I needed family ties, and we didn't have that. My older sister was and is very smart. She had a perfect SAT score. She went to Brown University on a Rhodes Scholarship, and then she went to UCLA and got a double degree, a law degree in her MBA. My parents were so proud of her academic achievements. And I would remember my parents' friends would say, oh, are you the one who goes to Brown University? I'd say, no, I'm the other one. And then they would say, oh, I didn't realize there was another daughter. Because I wasn't the smart one, I knew I had to excel at something. And that something was athletics. I tried swimming, and I was pretty good. I then tried gymnastics, but my coach told me I was too fat to be a gymnast. He would grab I have big legs, so strong legs, and he would grab it and say, you are too fat to be a gymnast. All right, so I tried tennis, and I was good. I quickly began winning tournaments. I started beating ranked players, and I started getting invited to tournaments around the country. And here's the thing. So I was good, but I wasn't the best. I was not going to beat Martina Navratilova or Zina Garrison. Those were the women of my age. And I knew I wasn't going to make it professionally. I knew I could make it as a college athlete, probably an NCAA college athlete, but I wasn't going to be the best. So you can see the perfect storm, right? You can see this perfect storm brewing. So here's my perception of what happened. Genetically, we are predisposed to addiction. On my dad's side, we have schizophrenia, we have depression, we have mental illnesses. On my mom's side, we have obesity, we have depression, and I recently found out my 90-year-old aunt had bulimia. Socially, I wasn't pretty, nor was I popular. I didn't have close friends or family support. Academically, I wasn't very smart, in my opinion. And I wasn't a good enough tennis player. So here's the storm brewing. I just didn't feel good enough. I didn't fit in particularly anywhere. And that was the perfect storm, as you know, for eating disorders. The straw that broke the camel's back happened in 7th grade when I was 13 years old. We were living in San Francisco, and we moved to Houston, Texas. What a traumatic experience. So I was wearing flowers in my hair. I didn't wear a bra. I wore flip-flops, and we moved to Houston, Texas. We were in the South, honey. We moved from the melting pot of California to a place where my school was 99% white, and my sister and I were the only Jews. And the South is different, no question about it. J.R. Ewing, that is it. I had lots of traumatic situations, which I'm not going to go into, and all which contributed to my eating disorder. I vividly remember my first binge and purge. I was at a tennis tournament in Nashville, Tennessee. I was young, so I would be housed in private homes. I was being housed with a very wealthy family with a huge food pantry. I had never seen anything like it. The family left me for the night, and they said, help yourself to anything. So I did. There were huge barrels of pretzels, chocolate, popcorn, and cookies, huge amounts of food. I sat in the pantry, and I ate, and I ate, and I ate. And then I felt horrible, both physically and emotionally. I had to play tennis the next day, so I knew I had to get rid of the food somehow, some way, and I had to get rid of these horrible feelings. I don't know where I learned to purge, but I figured it out that night. That was the beginning of my bulimic journey, which lasted for 4 years. I can honestly say I binged and purged my way through the United States while playing tennis tournaments and trying to keep up with life as a teenager and school. When I was home, my parents would say, "What? Does anyone know what happened to the cake or the bowl of spaghetti or the whole jar of peanut butter?" And I'd say, no idea. I don't think you bought it. Or the dog, that golden retriever, she ate it. I was a really good liar, I was a good deceiver, and I was a thief. And I honestly didn't know what I was doing because eating disorders were not on the radar. Nobody knew what they were. They weren't talked about, or they weren't in existence, I'm not sure. I thought I was crazy. I tried really hard to stop, but I couldn't. It was really powerful. By the time I accepted a full tennis scholarship to the University of Denver in 1983, the bulimia switched to anorexia. Anorexia took over because I tried so hard to stop binging and purging. I would not eat, and I would exercise, so I wouldn't have to eat because eating led to binging. So to give you a sample of my life as an anorexic in college, at 6 o'clock in the morning, I ran 6 miles every morning. At 12 o'clock noon, I swam at the University of Denver pool. I swam 1 mile without stopping. From 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock was tennis practice or tennis matches. And then twice a week at 5:30, I taught Jane Fonda aerobics. On the weekends, I added bike riding to my exercise routine, and I started racing in 5Ks and 10Ks and also triathlons. My academic schedule had to work around my athletic schedule. My friendships and my dates also had to work around my athletic schedule. I ate the same exact thing day after day at the same exact time. I became a robot. And you might ask, well, how did people react? They thought I was great. They would say, oh, she's so skinny, she's so tiny, she's so little, she's so cute. Did you know she's such a good athlete? She's #1 on the team. They would weigh us in college, and I was the star. I was the winner. So here's what it looks like. Every morning, the alarm would go off at 5:55, and I would battle with myself. I would say, just sleep in. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Just sleep in. But the guilt was so powerful. The guilt of not running would get me out of bed. I would make myself get up, get dressed, and go out running. And I was in Denver, and it snowed, it sleeted, and I would be running through the snow, slipping through the snow. At breakfast, I would walk through this cafeteria line, and I'd look at all the pancakes and the waffles and the eggs, and I wanted them really badly. But I couldn't. I wouldn't let myself have them. It was too scary. What if I started eating and I couldn't stop? Or if I ate 1 pancake, tomorrow I would certainly be 400 pounds. Really black and white thinking. I had to stay on my plan. I had to follow my rituals. I had to stay in control. So for breakfast every day, I ate the same thing, a little bowl of Rice Krispies with some granola on top, and I poured skim milk in the bowl, and I drank lots of Diet Coke, lots and lots and lots of Diet Coke. My afternoon routine was the same. I would battle with myself about swimming laps. I would tell myself, go take a nap or go hang out with your girlfriends and watch Days of Our Lives. Watch the soap operas. I couldn't do it. I would panic at the thought of not getting my swim in. If I missed my swim, I knew I would either blow up or die. Something awful would happen. Again, I had to stay in control. I had to keep my rituals. It's the only way I could survive. And I really did feel much better, much more accomplished after each workout routine. I would battle myself at lunch and dinner. Just eat pasta, eat chicken, eat the burger, eat the fries, just eat a sandwich. But I couldn't do it. I ate the same things over and over again, day after day, week after week, month after month. For breakfast was the Rice Krispies, granola, and skim milk. Lunch and dinner were the same, a few pieces of deli turkey meat, cottage cheese, and a little salad. I would only eat at certain times, and certainly I would only eat the same things over and over again. During classes, and throughout the day, my stomach would growl relentlessly. Keep on. Okay, thank you. And I drank lots of Diet Coke, chewed lots of gum, and I thought about food all day long. When I would eat again, what I would eat, who I would eat with, where I would eat. I just thought about food all day long. It's amazing that I made it through the University of Denver with a double major. I would go to local grocery stores and I would look at food. I would wander up and down the aisles just staring at food, wishing I could eat. The strange thing, but not so strange in this eating disorder world, is that I would eat candy, chocolate, and cookies at night. I now understand that my brain was screaming for carbohydrates and fat because I was so starved. When I would give in to food, I ate the candy, the chocolate, and the cookies. And I do believe it was the one thing that kept enough weight on me so that I didn't collapse and I didn't die. So I came home for a break during my freshman year of college, and my parents, who, if you remember their picture, they're not genetically small people. We are, we're solid people. They took one look at me and they said, "Oh my God, you are, what's going on? You're so skinny." My mother said, "Oh, I saw it. I saw it on Phil Donahue. Donahue, I saw it. You have anorexia." And I sat down with my dad and I said, "Dad, I have to tell you something. I've been doing something really awful." And he said, "Oh God, you've been having sex." I said, "No, Dad, I've not been having sex. Look at me. I'm not going to be having sex." And he said, "You're doing drugs." I said, "No, I'm not doing drugs." Alcohol? He couldn't figure it out. I said, "Dad, let me tell you what's been going on for the last 4 or 5 years." And he started crying. It was the first time I ever saw my dad cry. So Dad's Mr. Fix-It. He's a chemist. He went down to the public library and he read the one book on eating disorders. And they got me help. So this was in 1983, the year Karen Carpenter died. And my exercise routine, my tennis, my starving was killing me. So it was that year I said, all right, this has to stop. So one day, after a really particular day, hard day, I said, that's it. I can't do it anymore. So I took my wine. It was Los Hermanos Light. I was drinking diet wine. Los Hermanos Light. And I took a bottle of pills. And I started drinking, and I took a pill. And I said, I'm not going to feel pain. I'm not going to hurt. It's over. But I couldn't do it. I wanted to live, and I wanted to have a family, and so I didn't do it. Okay, so that was the year I began my very long journey of recovery, and I'm not going to lie, it's not been pretty. There wasn't much help in the 80s. There wasn't these wonderful conferences, which I'm so thankful for. And I saw a psychiatrist, Dr. Jonathan McMath, And he was lovely, but he didn't really know about eating disorders. And he would prescribe meds and did therapy. And I got to him weekly. And one day I said, okay, doc, tell me how to eat. What should I eat? I'm ready. And he's like, well, gee, Caryn, I don't know. Just eat normally. Oh, okay, thanks. Great, I'll eat normally. So eventually I started eating, and unfortunately I couldn't stop. Then the new eating disorder began. So I had gone from anorexia to bulimia to anorexia to now binge eating. So I started eating and I couldn't stop eating. I ate everything that I hadn't eaten for so long. French fries and pizza and burgers and everything. And there's a lot of shame going from a skinny anorexic where you're so in control to a swollen binge eater. The weight gain is absolutely the worst nightmare. It was really embarrassing too because people would make comments, you know, wow, you've gained weight. Gosh, you've put on some lbs. What happened? You used to be so skinny. It was pretty horrifying. It was pretty desperate. So after many years of binge eating and still over-exercising and being totally miserable, I saw a dietitian. I didn't even know what a dietitian was, but again, my dad, the chemist, came through and he found a dietitian. And she was a diabetic dietitian. So she told me, I don't know anything about eating disorders, but let me do the best that I can. So she put me on a 2,200 calorie American Diabetic Association diet, and I followed it. And that was the beginning of learning how to eat normally again. It took a long time. It took years for my body to regulate. It took years for my body to settle to where it is now. It's genetic set points. It took lots and lots of years of normal eating, exercise, and sticking with it until my metabolism finally caught back up. And during those years, I went back to school, and guess what? I became a dietitian. And then I got a master's in counseling. And now I'm working on my doctorate of education. I'm almost done. So how does the story end? Oh, go back one. How does the story end? Through the chaos, I was the #1 tennis player for 4 years. I was a 2-time All-American player. I was the Female Athlete of the Year in 1987. I'm on the silver anniversary team for female athletes at the University of Denver. I was inducted into the DU Hall of Fame. There's a Caryn Honig tennis scholarship for a female athlete who has had a problem, and that's my husband who set it all up. I've completed 37 marathons, including Boston Marathon this year, which was so fabulous. I have completed one 50-mile endurance race and many triathlons, including one full Ironman. I'm a competitive athlete. I will always be a competitive athlete. I may not be the best, but I have fun. I got married to a very kind, loving, empathetic, supportive man who doesn't have any addictions till he married me, and now he's the addiction king. He knows everything about addictions. And he's been willing to learn all about eating disorders and other addictions. It's been a journey for him as well. And this was me and Scott at the Boston Marathon this year at the finish line. Even though I didn't have many periods for many, many years, I was able to have 2 beautiful daughters. They're challenging, but they are beautiful and the love of my life. Is recovery perfect? No. But I wake up every day and decide I want to be in recovery. Eating disorders are just fleeting thoughts now, right? They come and they're fleeting thoughts and they go right on by. I wake up every day and say, I want to be in recovery. Life is good. Life is great. If I have an eating disorder thought, I will say, whoa, what's going on right now? That you're turning to old thoughts. And usually it's, I need a nap, or I need to take care of myself, right? Then I'm stressed or something's going on, but I will not act out on my eating disorder behaviors. I have learned the power of speaking my voice. I've learned to set boundaries with others, especially my parents. I've learned that I'm human and I make lots of mistakes. Most importantly, I know I'm good enough. I am smart enough. I'm pretty enough. I'm a good enough mother and a good wife. I'm a good dietitian, and I'm a great professor. And my husband and one of my daughters are here. So I thank you for this opportunity to tell my story. First time ever.